will most likely have home field advantage throughout the playoffs, so Cleveland are not going to lay down today.
Absolutely not. Let's talk about some of the players you'll be seeing today. When you talk about the Cleveland Crunch, it begins with the great Hector Marinaro.
Well, Hector Marinaro has 176 points on the season so far. He's a Canadian who's won every award in indoor soccer. Prolific goal scorer, unselfish team player, deadly on set plays. Look for him to be a big man today.
One of the great athletes in the NPSL for Baltimore, Tariq Walker.
Tariq Walker had 4 points last night against Montreal. It'd take him to 100 points on the season. Speed to burn for such a big man. He represented the Blast in the All-Star game. He's got a cannonball for a shot.
And, of course, another hot player for the Blast, as he is every week, Franklin McIntosh. He comes in with 97 points, his 38 assists, lead the team. And look at the day he had in Cleveland on March 20th, 11 big points. Bobby and I will be back with more NPSL action right after this here on HTS. Soccer's brought to you by First Mariner Bank, by Mars Supermarkets, by Union Memorial Sports Medicine, by Operators Energy. Weekly. Welcome back to the Baltimore Arena. Baltimore Blast and Cleveland Crunch set to get underway in moments. Let's take a look at the Mars Supermarkets starting lineups. First for the Cleveland Crunch, Bobby, Nikola Ristic, Bozidar Simic, Goran Visic, Lester Felician, I should say, and Zoran Karic. Karic, of course, dangerous in that lineup.
Oh, Karic is dangerous anywhere on the field, and that's a man that the Blast need to keep an eye on today.
And there's Otto Orff. He will be starting in goal for the Cleveland Crunch. Now for the Baltimore Blast starting lineup. Remember, they've lost 4 in a row. Trying to stay in the playoff hunt. This a must-win situation as you look at the Blast prepare to start this game against Cleveland. Derek Marcano, Lance Johnson. Started out the year injured, has made a strong comeback. Danny Kelly also has had some injury problems. He's back in the lineup. And then the aforementioned Tariq Walker and Franklin McIntosh. And, Bobby, it's obvious what they've got to do today.
It certainly is. And Walker and McIntosh, we've seen some great chemistry so far this season. So looking at Scott Heilman, has had a good season since coming to the Blast from the Florida Thundercats. He has got to have a magnificent performance today.
Well, the pressure's certainly on Scott Heilman, that's for sure. I mean, the goal of any professional sports team is to go to the postseason. And they know if they don't win today that their chances just about disappear. So it just doesn't get much simpler than that. Keys, Bobby, to today's game.
Well, for the Crunch, obviously, they've got to get back quickly when they lose possession of the ball and execute on scoring opportunities that they'll get plenty of around the box. For the Blast, they've got to win the battle of both boxes in defense and attack, and they've got to defend well on deep set plays because that's an area that the Crunch has hurt them badly so far this season on.
And as Bobby, as you mentioned a moment ago, you're talking about the Crunch hurting the Blast badly. Well, it's been all Crunch this year, 3-0 thus far in this season.
That is correct, and if you're a Blast player or a Blast fan, you're ready to change that here this afternoon.
There you see the series is tied over the years 14-14, but as we just mentioned, Cleveland has dominated this year. In fact, the Crunch had won 10 in a row before last night when that winning streak was snapped by Harrisburg, and as Bobby said earlier, their 24-13 record, the very best in the NPSL. And they're your officials for today's game. Julio Salas, Bob Heilman, and Rob Faraday. We're just about ready to get underway here at the Baltimore Arena. And also, as Bobby mentioned, Cleveland, even though they have the best record in the league, they are playing for home field advantage, so there's an awful lot out on that arena floor today, Bobby.
And talking of that situation, Bruce, we have an out-of-town score which directly affects Cleveland. Milwaukee 8, Philadelphia 4 at the half. We'll keep the viewers posted on that.
Now we are underway at the Baltimore Arena. The Blast and the Crunch in a big game for both teams. Just underway. Danny Kelly over to Franklin McIntosh. McIntosh with a big game against Cleveland a couple of days ago. He hits the floor. Zoran Karic knocks it to the other end of the field, and here come the Crunch. That one's going to be cleared by Heilman. Johnson hanging back on defense, and Heilman will throw it in. Derek Marcano now for Baltimore. Marcano kicks it out of bounds. We're just underway here at the Baltimore Arena. Baltimore Blast, Cleveland Crunch. Bruce Cunningham and Bobby McAvan bringing you the action today.
Consistently delivering the highest level.
And Cleveland will put it back into play. And straight at Heilman they go, and Heilman with the save. And he goes downfield. And it's kind of bouncing around there. And there's a whistle.
Well, Billy Ronson is making a start for the Blast again. He's been called into duty after several key injuries to some players.
So some late changes in that starting lineup for the Baltimore Blast. Billy Ronson, the 42-year-old veteran. Who could forget the telecast earlier this year? He had just been activated. What did he score? 3 goals?
2 goals in 3 minutes.
There's a shot on goal, and it was high.
Well, that's what Hector Marinaro is capable of from three-point land. Just rifling in a shot off the crossbar.
If this is your first experience with the NPSL, there's a three-point arc, much like in basketball. And, of course, a goal behind there is worth 3. You get a good look there at the relative newcomer to Baltimore, Mark Thomas. They call him the Turtle. You look at that profile, you can see why.
Oh, he's been a great acquisition. And talking of Mark, we'd just love to say hi to his folks back in Michigan who are watching this game today. Hoping for a big game from their son.
Well, we've had exactly 1 shot on goal. The teams are kind of feeling each other out. We're almost 2 minutes into this game. Marinaro with the header. And Danny Kelly will control for Baltimore. Kelly, as we said, bothered by some injuries at the midpoint of the season, but he's come back strong. He's a guy that will never, ever shut it down during a game. Always moving. Franklin McIntosh now to Tariq Walker. Walker was looking for Kelly, but Kelly had the momentum. Simmons now, and now down to Johnson, but Marinaro takes it away.
Outside.
And Kelly and Karic kind of got there at the same time, and the ball ends up in the cheap seats, Bobby.
Well, Kelly's actually returning after a broken leg. He's had a couple of games under his belt. He's not quite got his 100% match fitness back, but here's a guy that can turn it on. He's good forward, he's good playing back, he covers so much turf out there. He's certainly going to be a key in the support play for Baltimore tonight.
Well, on a broken leg, when you have Kelly's style of play, the never-stopping style of play, it becomes much more significant. Now, Doug Neely is reported in for the Blast, along with Denison Cabral. So Kevin Healy shuffling in some fresh bodies. They're going down to the Baltimore end now, and a point-blank shot. Heilman gets a foot on it, and McIntosh now takes it back into the corner. Franklin gets it taken away. Crunch with a point-blank opportunity, and Heilman picks that one up, too.
Well, Karic is very dangerous in and around the top of the box.
McIntosh, and Cleveland takes over. Zoran Vasic. Vasic kind of lost the handle there, but recovers. Danny Kelly gets in his way. They go right to Lance Johnson with it, but Cleveland there to put it back in play. Setting it up for the Crunch. Bozidar Simic. Now he goes over to Karic.
Karic with a staggering 55 assists on the season so far.
That is a staggering figure. And there's a shot. It's wide to the right. That was Zoran Karic.
Showing that he can score also. Very close call for the Blast then.
Danny Kelly gathered it in, sent it over to Heilman. Kelly waiting for the substitution to be complete. Johnson is off. Marcano on for Baltimore. And there's Barry Stitz, the Baltimore native. He's just in the game. Marcano over to the side to Danny Kelly. Kelly was thinking about a shot, but could not get his foot on it. Kelly back to the middle. It's off Marcano. Now here come the Crunch. Marinaro. Barry Stitz going over there to play some defense. Marinaro with the pass, but Marcano Knocked it away.
Well, Barry Stitz has been called on to do some defensive duties in the absence of Jason Dieter, who took a nasty knee injury against Milwaukee. Stitz is such a versatile player. He's played in all areas for the Blast this year.
Stitz, a familiar name to Baltimore soccer fans. He has been playing with the Baltimore franchise. I believe it's now his 9th season. They sent it back to Heilman for the reset. No score here at the arena. If you're just joining us, Baltimore Blast, Cleveland Crunch. 10 minutes to play in the first quarter. Ronnie Simmons goes down to Franklin McIntosh. McIntosh keeping the defender off him, but they're going to collapse. And McIntosh loses it. And here come the Crunch. They're going to the far side for John Ball, and there's a whistle.
Denison Cabral being called for a nudge against his opponent then.
So Cleveland with the free kick. Heilman setting his defense up. As you see, John Ball, 63 points on the year.
Well, it's going to be the first test for the Blast, defending a deep set play against Cleveland here.
It goes into play. It goes to Marinaro. No surprise there. Deflects off Heilman. And the Cleveland Crunch are on the board. The great Hector Marinaro sticks it in the net.
Not for the first time this year, Karic and Marinaro link up.
So Cleveland makes the first noise in this game at the 9:43 mark of the first quarter.
Watch Karic look for Marinaro. He's the go-to guy. Marinaro keeps it low on the ground. Heilman managing to get a piece of it with his foot, but just sails into the net.
Not much of a chance when that man put something on it. The ball is traveling anywhere between 60 and 75 miles an hour, I'm told. And if you get a foot on a shot like that, you're fortunate to do so. So Cleveland jumps out 2-0 here at the Baltimore Arena in a game that's important for both teams. We'll be back with more right after this.
Participating in sports has a lasting influence on our lives. Unfortunately, sports
We are back underway at the Baltimore Arena. Cleveland on a Hector Marinaro goal takes the 2-0 lead over the Baltimore Blast. Play has just resumed. The Blast, they want to answer that as quickly as possible. Tariq Walker trying to make something happen over there. With the left foot, he was thinking about it, but there's a steal for Cleveland. Coming up on the outside, Lester Felician, and his shot is way high. It goes up onto the stage.
Well, it's a good early ball by Karic there to get a 2-on-1 scenario going. I mean, that free kick that was awarded to Cleveland looked like absolutely incidental contact. That takes part everywhere on the field during the game.
Back to live action now. Tariq Walker working in the middle. He goes over to Franklin McIntosh. Now to Lance Johnson comes into the neighborhood. McIntosh hits the floor. Johnson tries to step up in his stead, but Ronnie Simmons on defense is able to pick it up. Denison Cabral to McIntosh. Defense collapsed all over him. And Otto Orff comes out of goal to clear it for Cleveland. Ronnie Simmons. Simmons into the middle to McIntosh. Back to Simmons. And now there's a shot from Cabral, but it is deflected by Orff.
Well, it was a good combination play with Simmons, McIntosh, and Cabral there, but Denison just couldn't get enough on it.
Lance Johnson kind of sending a wild one down to the other end, and Orff sends it right back. Walker was back awaiting it, but Marinaro jumped out in front of him, but Walker goes over and gets it anyway. Goes up the side to Franklin McIntosh. And McIntosh gets it taken away. Now he's still in there battling. There's McIntosh with a right-footed shot, and Orff with a big save.
Well, McIntosh was double-teamed then. He broke loose and unloaded a cannon, but Orff was up to the task.
Here come the Crunch. Barry Stitz, though, with the defense, he knocks it over to Heilman. And Baltimore will put it back into attack. Barry Stitz down to McIntosh. McIntosh to the linchpin. He makes everything happen. holding off the defender. Doug Neely back on defense along with Barry Stitz. And McIntosh, he was content to wait there for something to happen.
Unfortunately, the referee wasn't aware of what he was going to do with the ball.
Sean Boney now for Cleveland. What a giant guy, and his shot just to the right and misses the goal. Boney's a big one. 6'7", 265 pounds.
The biggest man in American soccer.
And a very intimidating force in the indoor game, which is much more compressed. It's Doug Neely now for Baltimore. Neely sends it down the sidelines for Walker. And we have a whistle and a foul. Adam Cornett, the guilty party, and Baltimore with a free kick now. Franklin McIntosh will do the honors. No surprise there. He's a wily veteran. Otto Orff, the goalkeeper for Cleveland, setting the defense. Anxious moments for a goalkeeper. And he went to Cabral, and Cabral badly wide to the right. Here comes the crunch of Marinaro, 1-on-1 with the goalie, and Heilman with the foot save.
Big save by Heilman. Came out to narrow the angle and just got a foot on it.
So Franklin McIntosh not in any hurry at all. Sends it down to Lance Johnson. It deflects off him and goes back to the crunch where it does it. Johnson gets over there in a hurry. And there's another whistle. Down there in the corner. Cornett once again. And there's your slide tackle.
Cabral does well to win possession. And Cornett bringing down his opponent.
Back to live action. Tariq Walker had it momentarily. Cleveland collapsed on him. Danny Kelly steps in front of it. And we'll stay at the blast end. Kelly went into the middle of McIntosh, but Boney just all over McIntosh. The blast defense collapses. And now Cleveland will put it in play. There's Marinaro going to the far side. And it's deflected, and there's another shot, and it goes up onto the stage. 5 minutes, 46 seconds to play in the first quarter. Cleveland on a Marinaro goal leads it 2-0. Again, the Blast trying to snap a 4-game losing streak and stay in the NPSL playoff picture. Cleveland battling for home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Highland puts it in play. Put it over there in the vicinity of Mark Thomas. Cleveland had other ideas, but Thomas comes up with it. Thomas played his college soccer at Quincy College in Illinois. There's a shot. It's wide to the right. And Johnson with the follow, and a big save from Otto Orff. As Orff continues to keep the Blast out of the goal.
Oh, Lance Johnson supporting well and unloading a shot then. He scored the goal for the Blast last night. Doing well coming forward.
Now we're looking for Mark Thomas over there in the corner. Thomas sends it to the middle to Stitz. Point blank onto Orff. There's the follow shot, and it was just wide and high to the left. Stitz with a big opportunity there, but could not get it in the net. There's Billy Ronson battling. And a Blast with a free kick here. If you look at Otto Orff. Ronson goes over to the side to Barry Stitz. Defender falls down, but Stitz can't capitalize. Ronson again, 42 years old, and they're giving it the good battle. And there's a whistle. Cleveland leads it 2-0 here at the Baltimore Arena. Nikola Ristic will put it in play. No surprise at all. It was going straight at Zoran Karic, but Derek Marcano got in the way. Cleveland takes over. Marcano, again, disrupting things. Drops it off for Walker, goes to Danny Kelly. Franklin McIntosh over there behind him. He's got to hustle around to make the play. Marcano back to Kelly. Kelly down to Tariq Walker. Walker holding off the defender, waiting for the play to set. And it deflects off the defender. McIntosh with the dive. Here come the Crunch.
Crunch coming with a 3-on-1.
Stitz back on defense. Heilman, it deflected off his hands, and there's another shot, and it's in the goal for Cleveland. Goran Vasic was in the right place at the right time, and he shoots it past Heilman, and the Cleveland lead now 4-0.
Well, Karic will get the assist on that. Held up the play, looked for a man inside the box.
As you can see, there's the deflection, and there he is. Pretty simple game, Bobby, huh?
Tucks it in behind 3 defenders into the net for a score. Actually came from Cornette on the assist.
So that's your score. Cleveland leads it 4-0 here in the first quarter. We'll be back with more NPSL soccer right after this.
What's it like to be 7?
Back in the Baltimore Arena, Cleveland has jumped out 4-0. 2 goals here in the first quarter as they attempt to nail down a home field advantage throughout the playoffs. There's Denison Cabral. 6th hat trick of the season last night against Montreal. The hat trick, of course, to the uninitiated. 3 goals in 1 game.
And everybody knows that when Denison scores, it's such a celebration.
I'm hoping for our television viewers that Mark Thomas can stick one in there. We told you earlier he's known as the Turtle. He's got a little turtle dance that he does that you really need to see. So the Blast now looking at the free kick, and big Mr. Boney standing there in the way. That's a big obstruction. That shot went wide to the left, and here comes Boney. Left foots it. It's wide, and Kelly knocks it over to Heilman. They were looking for Mark Thomas, but Cleveland steps in front of it. And you just can't say enough about the sheer bulk, the mass of Mr. Boney. Johnson over to Cabral. He sees Franklin McIntosh. McIntosh centers it. Barry Stitz back to McIntosh. There's the right foot, and it's wide to the left.
That's good effort by Franklin on a link-up with Mark Thomas.
They already down 2 goals. It's important to try and stay in this thing. Try and keep it close. The Blast feeling the pressure maybe to put one in the net. Marinaro. Bounced that one off the sky, it seemed. John Ball. Ball with the left foot right off of Ronnie Simmons, and that one's doing some traveling as well.
Good coverage by Simmons. The downside is that ball is going to come back to the top of the big arc. A place where Cleveland can be lethal from.
So the Crunch with a free kick, and Marinaro standing back there along with Zoran Karic. Karic will do the honors. Marinaro coming over to the left. I think Cleveland might be looking Hector's way. Now they go straight at it. It deflects, and it's high. Karic knocks it back to Otto Orff, the goalkeeper, who's come out of the box. He will put it in play. Orff down in the corner to Marinaro. Marinaro keeps his body between Ronnie Simmons and the ball, but shot couldn't fall. Heilman will put it in play.
Good knockback by Barry Stitz then under pressure. Now coming out of his own end with the ball.
Stitz back to Heilman. Now to Ronnie Simmons. We're nearing the 2-minute mark here in the first quarter. Cleveland leading 4-0. Johnson back to Heilman. And he went to a spot there, but Cleveland got there first. Now they come down to Karic. Karic with a shot, and Heilman blocks it. Heilman, a busy first quarter. And 42-year-old Billy Ronson. Over to Stitz, back to Tariq Walker. Walker. Marinaro knocks him to the floor, and we've got a whistle. So Danny Kelly with the free kick. Kelly with a bit of fakery and a whistle. You've got 5 seconds on a free kick, and Kelly perhaps a bit too tricky. The 5 seconds elapsed, and Cleveland gets it back. They go over in a corner. The shot was wide. Heilman gets it off the foot of Kelly. Minute 30 to play in the first quarter.
Well, Cleveland are pressing the Blast very high and giving them some problems getting out of their own end.
McIntosh down into the corner. Cleveland comes up with it. Carriage, he's battling Stitz, and we've got a whistle. No, not Stitz, that was Thomas, of course. They're mixing it up, Bobby.
Well, Karic is very dangerous anywhere, but on the boards he just holds off Thomas. Thomas lunges in, and referee calls a free on him.
So Karic with the pass and the shot from Nikola Ristic, and that one was deflected. Otto Orff, Cleveland, puts it in the officials' area.
Well, it's good pressure by Franklin McIntosh then, forcing Orff to kick the ball out of bounds.
Otto Orff, the veteran goalkeeper for the Cleveland Crunch. 24-10 record this year. Nice numbers for Otto Orff. Here's the free kick. Danny Kelly wanted to go to Denison Cabral and didn't hit him in the right spot. But wait a minute, there's a deflection. Doug Neely puts it in the goal.
Right in there to take it off the boards and slip it behind Orff.
Neely, another Baltimore veteran when it comes to soccer, many years here. And Bobby, as we were saying a moment ago, that's an important goal because Cleveland had jumped out with 2 quick ones. Now the Blasters notice that they're back in it.
Watch Cabral's shot take a deflection, and Neely with his foot out just swings, puts it into the net.
And he lost his shoe.
That's allowed.
Pretty good leg extension for an old dog like Doug Neely, that's for sure. But now it's a 4-2 game. 45 seconds to play in the first quarter. Orff to Boney. Boney towering over Marcano. Stitz to Tariq Walker. 35 seconds to go in the first quarter. Billy Ronson looking for Tariq Walker. 2 defenders in the way, and Orff goes way down court with it. Way downfield, I should say. There's Boney. Over to Marinaro, but Danny Kelly strips him. Kelly sent it downfield. Boney again in the center. Barry Stitz, Billy Ronson converge on him. There's a shot, and Heilman with the save and 2 saves. And Cleveland has 4 shots at the goal and can't cash them in.
Well, that's an opportunity that Cleveland really ought to have put away then. A lot of credit goes to Heilman for his effort.
Scott Heilman. There's 1. There's 2. Danny Kelly coming in to help out on that one. They got 4 shots on goal. That's the end of the first quarter. Cleveland leads at 4-2 here at the Baltimore Arena. We'll be back with more NPSL soccer right after this.
I'm George Ferris, chairman of Ferris Baker Watts. We're all
largest workers' compensation underwriter. For more information, contact your insurance agent or call IWIF at 1-800-264-IW. IF. Back to live action. The teams have switched ends here for the second quarter. Heilman climbed the ladder and saved that one over Marinaro. Sends it downfield now to Thomas. Thomas to Franklin McIntosh. McIntosh looking for Thomas. Thomas heavily defended. They sent it the other way, but Simmons steps in front of it. Lance Johnson now back to McIntosh, who's surveying the field. McIntosh to a cutting Lance Johnson, but Johnson couldn't get there in time.
Well, it was good support by Johnson on an angle, and the feed was just a little too quick for him.
As Thomas centers to McIntosh. McIntosh tried to slip one by, but it was wide to the right. Otto Orff, Cleveland goalkeeper. Off the boards in the corner, and Heilman gathers that one in. Cleveland with 11 shots on goals already in this game. Heilman gives way to Cabral. Stitz, Walker, McIntosh also on the floor for Baltimore. Here's Stitz down in the corner. Boney comes over there to defend him. And there's Cabral off the side of his foot. McIntosh and Marinaro battling for it. There's a lot of experience in that matchup. And Orff with the dive save.
Well, the Blasters starting the quarter very promising. Some good pressure.
There's the one from way downtown. Carriage got in the way of that one. Cabral steps in front of him. Carriage with a shot. No chance at all for Heilman, and Cleveland is back on the board. Zoran Karic with the goal. It's now 6-2. Karic, the veteran, kind of hung around there in front of the goal.
Watch as Karic comes in on Cabral, just fakes him, and then unloads a right foot shot just on the ground into the corner past Heilman.
Great footwork there, Bobby.
Very dangerous going forward. And a great nose for the goal.
And as we mentioned, Heilman, not much chance at all to get in the way of that one. So 6-2, Cleveland with the lead. Neely sends it back to Heilman for the reset. Billy Ronson gives way to Danny Kelly in the corner. Kelly loses it. Ronson mixing it up. Lots of black shirts, lots of red shirts in that corner, and a lot of traffic in front of the goal, but Otto Orff picks it up. Johnson with a tough defense at midcourt. Ronson trying to dig it out of there. The ball squirting everywhere. Here comes a crunch. Karic gives way to the side. Back to Karic. Lots of shots. None of them go in. Doug Neely comes up with it for Baltimore. Over to Denison Cabral. Cabral fights through the defender, still coming toward the goal, and finally loses it.
Well, that ball just got away from Denison in the end then. Didn't get the connection that he would have hoped for.
Bosick for Cleveland. Over to Rustic. And Baltimore comes up with it. Barry Stitz. Over to Doug Neely. Neely with a blast-only goal of the game thus far. And Cleveland clears it. Here's Marinaro. And his shot is high.
Well, Hector normally sticks those away from that range.
Little Danny Santoro in the game for the first time today. Another Baltimore native. Stitch to McIntosh. McIntosh really battling the Cleveland defender, Troy Dusovsky. Here's Marinaro down at the other end. Marcano got in the way of things. Marinaro wants a call. Is not going to get it. Tariq Walker with the shot. It's wide to the left. James now for Cleveland, but Marcano disrupting again. They go to Marinaro. And that deflected by Danny Santoro. McIntosh picks it up for Baltimore. They give to Santoro. And back to Marcano. 10 minutes, 30 seconds to play in the first half. Cleveland leads it 6-2. Danny Kelly for McIntosh. McIntosh with a defender draped all over him. Collides with Orff, but Orff able to pick up the loose ball. We've got a timeout on the field. Cleveland leads at 6-2. We'll be back with more NPSL soccer right after this. Well, they had a timeout a moment ago. Cleveland leads at 6-2, 10-16 to play in the first half. Bruce Cunningham, Bobby McAvan bringing you action from the Baltimore Arena.
Out-of-town score in the third, Bruce. Milwaukee 14, Philadelphia 8.
And Bobby, as you pointed out, Milwaukee and Cleveland battling to get home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
Milwaukee's final two games are home and home against Philadelphia.
Take a look at the NPSL standings. There you go, Bobby. That illustrates how close that Cleveland-Milwaukee battle is.
That's how it looked before the game today.
Otto Orff puts a ton of foot in that one. Heilman gets up there. It deflects, but Cleveland can't do any damage. Lance Johnson now for Baltimore. Over to Mark Thomas for Cleveland. Disrupts, and they will put it in play. Orff to Marinaro. Thomas came over, so Marinaro shot it back to Orff. There's Orff down in the corner. Ronnie Simmons camps under that one.
Well, that's going to be a three-line violation against Otto Orff. So the Blast have an opportunity now coming in from the yellow line. McIntosh or Kelly, normally the trigger man.
You got to look there at Otto Orff directing the defense on these free kicks. The goalie's in charge. It's Danny Kelly. Goes straight for it, and Orff with a diving save.
Well, Kelly did well to get it around Boney, but nobody there to knock the rebound home.
Marinaro collides with Stitz. He wants a call. Not going to get it. Danny Kelly to Tariq Walker in the center. Walker gives it up to Cabral, and it bounces off the bulk of Boney. Doug Neely now. Neely going across the field to Heilman. Heilman over to Barry Stitz. It's down in the corner looking for McIntosh, but it's deflected to Santoro. There's the shot, and it's deflected by Cleveland. Simic. Santoro and Simic battling for that. Santoro comes up with it, gives way to Doug Neely. Santoro across the field to Barry Stitz. They're looking for Franklin McIntosh. Not going to happen. Simic now for Cleveland. McIntosh disrupts it. McIntosh doing battle with Boney. Gets past him momentarily, but Dusovsky there with the defense.
Well, that ball hit Marty McGinty, the trainer of the Blast. That should have been called back for a kick-in for the Blast. And now there's a 2-minute situation.
Yes, indeed. Danny Santoro hooked up over there.
I mean, one of the two referees has to see that ball hit the Blast bench.
Yes.
That was clear from our vantage point.
Santoro and Ball mixing it up here, Bobby.
Well, Santoro puts him into the boards, and he's going to go take a rest.
And Ball not happy with that turn of events. That part of the boards there, there's no plexiglass up there, and you can see his body just kind of fold over there. That kind of smarts, Bobby.
Well, Ball getting a knee in there, but no sign of any retaliation call against Cleveland.
Kind of got folded to the top of the boards. 8 minutes, 7 seconds of play in the first half.
So we're going to see first shootout of the game today for Cleveland and Hector Marinaro.
Marinaro deflected by Heilman. Heilman trying to get back on his feet. No chance at all with the great Hector Marinaro. His second effort puts it in the goal. It is now a widening Cleveland lead. As you see Heilman there. And there's Marinaro again, Bobby. The second effort gets it done for him.
Well, all within the 5 seconds, Marinaro staying with his shot and tucking it past Heilman.
Well, actually, that is under review. And now they give Cleveland the point. It's now 7-2. The great Hector Marinaro. Arguably the finest player in the NPSL. Maybe not so arguably, Bobby.
Oh, he's certainly capable of performing under pressure, and this is a pressure situation for both teams right now. Cleveland, a major contender to topple Milwaukee with the current title holders.
Well, Cleveland's had a fine year, 24-13 record. 3 of those wins already at the expense of the Baltimore Blast. So the Blast struggling as they are right now with a 4-game losing streak, about the last team they wanted to see today.
Well, they're continuing to fight officials' woes because Johnson is over there right now. The Blast protesting what should have been a call when that ball hit Marty McGinty on the bench, giving the advantage to the Blast. Santoro situation developed from that, and the Blast paid the price.
But the discussion with the official, as it usually does, is all for naught. 7-2. The point stands on the penalty kick. And the Blast gets it on the free kick. Marcano puts it in play. Or Neely to Marcano. Marcano, 3 defenders all over him, and Cleveland comes up with it. No surprise there. Here comes the crunch. Goran Basic working over there. He goes to Rustic. Now the reset to Basic. And Marinaro. Into the middle. Kind of a weak effort there. Heilman comes up with it. Doug Neely was looking for that pass, and it went over to the boards on the right side while Neely was cutting across the middle, and you saw him just throw his hands up in despair. So the crunch certainly has quieted this crowd. There's the shot, and it goes up into row 2. 7 minutes, 3 seconds to play. First half. Cleveland jumped out 7-2. Zoran Karic, you get a look at him there. Heilman will put it back in play for Baltimore. There's the throw-in, headed by Rustic. Back to Vasic. Carrick. Back to Carrick. Over in the corner to Marinaro. They go to the center now, then back to Marinaro. Back to the center, back to Marinaro. There's the shot. It's a Marcano right there, and they go to Oslowski over there for the shot, and he could not get anything on it, and Heilman with a save.
Well, the Cleveland making the ball do the work then. Couple of good combination, quick plays. Cleveland are on their third game in 3 days. So on that occasion, wise to let the ball do the work.
Well, and the Blast hadn't exactly been laying on a beach either. I think this is their third game since Thursday, isn't it?
3 in 4 nights.
That's tough, especially this late in the season. 10 seconds remaining on the penalty. 5 seconds now. Santoro getting ready to re-enter the game. And the penalty is up. Santoro back on the field. Blast back at full strength. Marcano and Johnson collapsing down there, and they take it away. Here's Santoro, fresh out of the penalty box. Leaves it for Simmons. Simmons to Marcano.
Watch how quickly 4 Cleveland defenders got back behind the ball, though. Good transition to defense by the Crunch.
Now Stitz and Johnson report in along with Danny Kelly. Baltimore with a shift change. Kelly was looking for McIntosh. Stitz over there to clean up the mess. Walker battling for it down there by the goal. And Otto Orff, the goalkeeper for Cleveland, picks it up. And there's Ball, who was hooked up with Santoro a moment ago on that altercation. His shot comes off the boards. And Cleveland will put it back in play. Lance Johnson steps in front of it. Tariq Walker got to wait for it. Here comes Tariq. Looking for Johnson. Johnson finally picks it up as it caroms off the board. Danny Kelly now. And Franklin McIntosh says, let's reset, fella. Tariq Walker tried to give it up to McIntosh. Too many Cleveland defenders there. Bobby, they're quick on defense.
Well, they pressure the ball very well and double team Blast front man. Force the turnover time and time again.
Here you see the veterans, Zoran Karic for Cleveland. Cleveland, a lot of experience on that roster, Bobby. Here's the free kick. Marinaro went straight at it, and it gets in the goal. He was looking, it was kind of the equivalent of an no-look pass, except he took the shot when everyone was expecting him to dump it off, and Heilman gets beat again. Goal number 2 for Hector Marinaro. It's now a 10-2 game.
Well, we've seen this move from Hector Marinaro before, just coming up and really keeping the ball low, almost getting it, looked like a toe on the ball, which proves to be a very deceiving shot to save for Heilman.
So that's unassisted.
Actually goes through the legs of the Blast defender in the wall.
So Cleveland now 10-2 over the Blast. Here's Heilman looking for Thomas in the corner, and Cleveland clears it. Back to Heilman.
Well, if you're a Blast player, you have to believe that you can narrow this deficit. Last weekend in Cleveland, Blast were well behind, 17-5, I believe, and came back and made a game of it. It's the beauty of indoor soccer.
Lots of scoring, that's for sure. And Danny Kelly will come up with it near the top of the arc. Kelly to Billy Ronson. Ronson off the boards, and it's kind of up for grab. Bosic takes it for Cleveland. Ronson gets over there in a hurry, though. And we've got a whistle as Bosic hits the floor. Well, Ronson's kind of serving notice that, hey, I may be 42 years old, but I'll still put you on the floor. And that's exactly what he did.
Certainly tracked him down, but just a little overzealous with the tackle.
Boney and Marcano hooked up over there. Lustig takes it for Cleveland. There's a shot. That one goes up into row 2. And the Blast will take over. Timeout on the floor. Cleveland leads with 10-2. We'll be back with more NPSL soccer right after this. Bruce Cunningham, Bobby McAvan. Cleveland has jumped out 10-2 on Baltimore. 3 minutes, 15 seconds to play in the first half. Ronnie Simmons. Tariq Walker with the carom. Lance Johnson now. And Franklin McIntosh. McIntosh for Johnson, cutting. And Johnson battling Marinaro. And they're going to clear it to Orff, and Orff will send it downfield.
Well, Lance has made some good runs out of the back, but just not able to get that one under control then.
Lustig off the carom, and boy, that one was close, but Heilman got over there in a hurry.
Well, the combination of play between Simmons and Heilman that kept that ball out.
Ronnie Simmons clearing it there. Marinaro hits him right in the chest, and here come the crunch. Marinaro to ball. Leaves it back for Marinaro. Was thinking about a shot, but Santoro right there to block it. There's big James Boney. Boney with a shot. Left-footed. Heilman scoops it up. Thomas and McIntosh converge. Neither one of them hangs on to the ball. Cleveland's got it. 2-minute mark of the first half. Cleveland leads at 10-2. Very quiet today at the arena. If you look at the score, you can see why. Simmons clears it to Heilman. Heilman is looking for McIntosh, but Lustig steps in the way. Here comes Cleveland. Nice diving save there for Ronnie Simmons. Thomas to McIntosh. They had a 2-on-1 momentarily. McIntosh with the shot, and it's just that much high. Kelly follows as well. He can't score either.
Well, Franklin picked out his spot then and came so close.
Marinaro with the try. Kelly off of him and then off of Heilman. And Heilman will gather it in. 1 minute, 6 seconds to play. We've got a timeout on the floor. Cleveland leads at 10-2. We'll be back with more NPSL soccer right after this. If your goal is to create a safer workplace and cut workers' compensation premiums by as much as 40%, call IWIF, the Injured Workers Insurance Fund, Maryland's largest workers' compensation underwriter. For more information, contact your insurance agent or call IWIF at 1-800-264-IWIF. 1:06 to play in the first half. Bruce Cunningham and Bobby McAvan with NPSL soccer. Cleveland, thus far, Bobby, taking it to the Baltimore Blast.
Well, they're certainly playing very well, but this is nothing that the Blast cannot overcome here. Shane Doherty being put into the game now. Blast hoping to connect before the half finishes.
And you see Heilman there with the save. He has been battling a lot of shots in his half. And Heilman with the throw-in, looking for Tariq Walker. Tariq, such a big guy, he can out-jump everybody, except for Boney, that is. And he kind of collides with Dusoski, and we've got a whistle. So Cleveland with a free kick. Up ahead of Santoro. Lance Johnson heads it. It's up for grabs, but Tariq Walker puts it in. Otto Orff committed. Tariq was able to get it past him, and the Blast is back on the board. We've now got a 10-4 game.
Well, it's good pressure by both Doherty and Walker, and a little miscommunication there with Orff and his defense. And Tariq Walker pounces on the loose ball to tuck it in the net.
You could see Tariq almost double clutch when he saw that Orff was coming out.
Ristich knocked it up in the air, and John Ball would look like he was attempting to head it back to Orr, but not fully connecting, and Walker pouncing in for the score, his 35th goal of the season.
102 points. Tariq Walker enjoying a fine season. 30 seconds to play, 36 to be exact. And the Blast gets a bit of a boost from that one. Comes Barry Stitz now. Defenders falling off of him. Danny Kelly to Tariq Walker once again. Walker trying to control it. 22 seconds to play in the first half. Walker loses it. Otto Orr scoops it up. Ten seconds to play. And Rustic will let the clock run out. No, he won't. Sends it downfield. 2 seconds, 1 second, and that's your first half. Cleveland leading Baltimore 10-4 at the first half. We'll be back with the halftime report right after this.
Welcome back to the Baltimore Arena. Cleveland in the lead right now against the Blast. It's the first Mariner Bank halftime report. It's Bobby McEvan with Bruce Cunningham and being joined right now by Dave Ungrady. Dave is our guest here at the Baltimore Arena today. Dave has just written a book called Unlucky, which chronicles minor league soccer in America, Dave. I know you had an opportunity to play for a team in Virginia. Want to tell the viewers about your chronicles here?
The book chronicles last season for the Northern Virginia Royals. They're a D3 Pro League team. It was the first year last year in the USISL. And unlucky, if a lot of people I think understand that term in soccer, it means, hey, nice try, but you didn't do that well. But they really had a tough year.
Well, explain to the viewers exactly what D3 Pro League means, because that's the league below the A-League and also below the MLS, a stepping stone in other words.
Correct. D3 Pro League is the third level of professional soccer in the U.S. And if we can compare it to baseball, it's like AA baseball. They can get paid. It's the lowest level of paid professional level of soccer in the U.S. But on this team, it was their first year, and they could have been paid, but the owner didn't have enough money. These guys didn't get paid, and it made it a little tougher for them.
So you were actually playing for the love of soccer, hoping that some of the MLS scouts would come and find you?
Not me. I was playing to write a book, although I did play a lot of soccer in the past, and I do love the game. The guys on the team were playing for the love of the game.
Why did you write this, Dave?
A couple reasons. I went to their media day when they were introducing the players for the first time to the media, and 2 media representatives showed up. I was one of them. The other guy left early, and I decided to stick around, and it was interesting. I knew it was going to be a struggle once that happened, and I was familiar with the previous Washington, D.C. area USISL team that had folded 2 years prior. I knew the struggles they had, so I thought it would be a tough year.
Well, I read this. I found it to be very humorous, and one passage that I really liked was the bit with Eastern Shore Sharks. A lot of people in this area can relate to those because they had a really tough year. They were 0-16 at the time, and you had your opportunity to suit up for the first time. Tell the viewers how that went.
Part of the book was my effort to see if I could play pro ball. I just turned 40, and the coach was great. I trained with him all season. He let me stick around, and my debut was to be against the Eastern Shore Sharks, which was also a first-year team. They were 0-16. It was 3 games left in the season for the Royals. They had to win all 3 games to make the playoffs. So I figured, I'll get in maybe 45 minutes, and this was where I was going to make my debut. But it was one of the worst games of the year the Royals played. They almost lost the game. I never got in. There were 2 games left in the season, and to find out if I get in, you got to read the book.
In other words, you were unlucky.
I was unlucky. It's typical of the season.
Tell the viewers where they can get this.
They can get this in a couple of ways. They can get it, we've got a website, www.sportspubin.com, or our 800 number is 1-800-VYS-KICK. We're on Amazon, but order it through our website or call 800 number and we'll be able to get it for you.
Well, the front sums it up. 2 heads down, ice pack on the other.
That picture was taken 1 minute after the season was over. It was a hot day, and that pretty much tells it all.
Dave, enjoy your day with us. Good luck with the book.
Thanks for the time.
Coming back with you after these messages, back to the game with Cleveland and the Blast.
They never cut corners. This will also end the federal deficit.
What deficit?
Back at the Baltimore Arena, Bruce Cunningham and Bobby McEvan at halftime. Cleveland leading the Baltimore Blast 10-4. It's been an impressive performance by Cleveland, Bobby.
Well, the key is the Blast have to get an early goal now coming out for the second half.
Let's take a look at the statistics from the first half, and you will see that they're not as one-sided as the score might indicate. 20-12, that's pretty one-sided, but as you go on down the list, Bobby, there's not a whole lot of difference there.
Well, there isn't a whole lot of difference. The point is that Cleveland are up 10-4 in the scoring category.
And that's the stat that matters, right?
This is a must-win situation for the Blast, as everybody knows, and right now, Cleveland have got it.
Well, we told you Heilman had a busy first half, as you see, 20 shots on goal. We'll be back with more here at halftime, right after this.
Last year, 15,000 people switched to First Mariner Bank. But I'm not surprised. We get lots of business from out-of-town
in Richmond.
Back at the Baltimore Arena, Bruce Cunningham and Bobby McEvan as Cleveland leads Baltimore 10-4, and a must-win for the Baltimore Blast, and thus far has not been going terribly well. Let's look at some first half highlights. We mentioned Hector Marinaro before the game, and he came up pretty big early, Bobby.
Well, this set play finds Marinaro coming in at the edge of the box, just crashing one. But here's Karich putting a move on Dennison, tucks it into the net for the Cleveland score.
And then Marinaro came up again.
Marinaro through the legs of Kelly on the set play and in behind Heilman. But watch Tariq Walker challenge for this ball. Moves in on the keeper and tucks it in nicely for a score.
That, of course, the last goal of the first half, and a big one for the Blast, Bobby, because they want to feel like they can get back in this game.
Well, it takes some momentum into the locker room. It hasn't particularly been a strong half for the Blast, but I feel that they're capable of narrowing the deficit, and soon.
So 10-4 is your score here at halftime. We will be back with a second half right after this. Stick around, everybody.
It's the way the right smile can make your day.
Back at the Baltimore Arena, Bruce Cunningham and Bobby McEvan for the second half of the Cleveland Crunch Baltimore Blast NPSL encounter. Cleveland, as you see, leads at 10-4. Hector Marinaro, as usual, has been the big star for Cleveland. He has 6 points out of 10.
Oh, it's almost impossible to keep Hector off the score sheet, along with Karich, forming that dynamic duo that's been around for years.
Couple of veterans, and Cleveland's record would tend to support that. Otto Orff, the goalie, puts it in play. Lance Johnson coming up to challenge, as is Franklin McIntosh, and we've got a whistle.
Well, we have an early whistle against Cleveland on what appeared to be an advantage run by Franklin McIntosh then.
So Danny Kelly with a free kick for Baltimore. They go in the middle to Tariq Walker. He gets knocked away. Lance Johnson gets over there in a hurry. Ball still loose. Marcano kind of boots it to one of his teammates. So Cleveland will get the free kick. Just underway in the second half, 10-4. Cleveland leads it. The Blast battling a 4-game losing streak, trying to stay in playoff contention. Cleveland, meanwhile, trying to nail down home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
And Cleveland by now have had the score up in Milwaukee, where Milwaukee are taking it to Philadelphia. So you know Cleveland are going to keep pushing.
Now, the latest score we had, 14-8, Milwaukee with the lead. They entered into play today a half game behind Cleveland in the Western Division. Now here they come. Karich, defended by Marcano. McIntosh picks it up for Baltimore. Off to Lance Johnson. Johnson went back to the center. Seemed like he had an open shot at the goal on the right side, but he chose to make the pass anyway. McIntosh trying to clear it. He does get out of there. To Kelly on the cut, and a big save by Otto Orff.
Oh, it's a superb shot back across Orff, but Orff doing well to stop that bullet from Kelly. Encouraging combination with McIntosh and Kelly then.
Big saves thus far.
Franklin's good at coming across the top of the arc, just sees Kelly getting in behind his defender. Fantastic stop by Otto Orff.
And Orff got those hands up, Bobby, I think as much for protection as anything else. That shot was from in close.
So far, that must be the save of the game.
That was a big one. So the score remains 10-4. Big James Boney with Ronnie Simmons on it. Boney, as we mentioned in the first half, 6'7", 265 pounds, and that is large for a soccer player. Cabral to Thomas. And the header. Orff. Blast with an opportunity there, but Boney hustles and gets the foot on it, and they're heading the other way. Here's Marinaro waiting for his teammates to get down. Marinaro with the shot. It's partially deflected by Simmons, and the blast takes over. Thomas and Otto Orff holding up two hands saying, I've got this one.
Well, Mark was looking for a forward break-in with support, but no one was available.
Marinaro and Stitz battling. Stitz wins the battle. Marinaro backs off. Stitz over to Simmons.
Good composed soccer by Barry Stitz there.
And Tariq Walker tried to gather in the pass, but couldn't do it. Johnson comes up. There's Boney. Ronnie Simmons gives it up to Danny Kelly. Kelly goes to the center of the field. Tariq Walker trying to get it out of there. There's the shot, and Orff kind of carried off his hands, but he's able to take control anyway. 8 saves today, as you see, 542 on the season. That leads the NPSL. Otto Orff, one of the better goalkeepers working anywhere. As Johnson goes onto the Cleveland bench.
Last soccer brought to you by the Employee Healthcare, Baltimore.
10-4, your score. All that scoring in the first half. We are just underway in the second half. 11:53 to go in the third quarter. Bruce Cunningham, Bobby McEvan, bringing you indoor soccer from the Baltimore Arena. Carriage with a shot. And Heilman clears it. Shane Doherty for the first time today. He goes across the mouth of the goal. Orff made kind of a swat at it. Walker controls on the far side. Here's Neely. As the blast gets some fresh bodies in there. Dennis and Cabral. There's Doherty again. Shane Doherty out of Kingsville, Maryland. Played his college soccer at the University of Maryland. There's the shot deflected by either Cabral or Neely. They were standing side by side. Here's Tariq Walker now trying to get through the defenders. Bodies go flying everywhere, and Otto Orff clears or picks it up. Doug Neely with the blue card, and it was obvious what he did. Neely came around and kind of wrapped up Felician, and Neely is going to have to sit down for a minute.
Neely's contact initially took place at the edge of the box. He's going to be in the penalty box, but now the question is, the referee's going to call a penalty kick.
And there's Neely. 2 minutes in the penalty box for that one.
Heilman pointing to the top of the arc. Lance pleading his case now that that happened at the edge of the box.
And the difference, of course, will Heilman get some help on this? Thus far, it looks like he won't. So
Well,
Heilman,
more major than that. The difference actually is it's worth 2 points.
yes, yes.
It's just one shot on the goalkeeper.
So mano a mano. Heilman. The edge of the box. In the goal. Zoran Karic will attempt to get it past him. Here you go. And Karic, no problem at all. Heilman went to his right. Karic went left. Just that simple. It's now 12-4. Cleveland with the lead.
Well, Karic just calmly slotting that in the bottom corner.
And it's still a controversial play, Bobby.
Absolutely is, because look where Doug Neely makes his contact. Clearly outside the box initially. And that's when the referee made the call.
Outside of the box, the penalty kick would have been 1 point, but inside it would have been 2. That's the argument. And they said it was inside, so the penalty kick was 2 points, and it's now 12-4.
And blast back to full strength now.
11 minutes to play in the third quarter. Blast down by 8 points. Heilman down in the corner for Kelly. Kelly and Cornette kind of battling there. Franklin McIntosh. McIntosh with the footwork, and he hits the floor.
McIntosh upended.
John Ball defending there for Cleveland.
Watch McIntosh put a move on Ball.
Well, we'll see that momentarily. McIntosh setting up for the free kick. He's got Lance Johnson down low. He's also got Thomas. That was Ball's 120th foul of the season. Cabral with the diving shot. And it caroms. Not going to go.
Good side volley attempt by Dennison, but nobody there for the rebound.
Kelly, Franklin McIntosh. McIntosh with the right foot. Orff with the save. Now they go back to Franklin. Franklin battling with Boney, and look at him push the big man. You get a good idea of the size of James Boney right there. And Franklin obviously doesn't like the call. And you see the free kick once again, the side volley.
Dennison, it actually hits off, hits the post behind him and rolls out in front of goal.
Back to live action. McIntosh with a kick. Caroms to Cabral. He tries one, but it won't go. Here's Ball now for Cleveland. Gives it up to Hector Marinaro. Marcano with the carom. Ball controls. There's Carrick, top of the key. Not going to go. Cabral picks it up. Here comes the blast. Thomas. And right into the hands of Otto Orff. Zoran Karic, Danny Santoro battling. Here comes Lance Johnson. They clear it. Looking for Karic in the corner. Out to Hector Marinaro. Now to Karic again. Lance Johnson right there.
Good work by Lance Johnson coming over to put pressure on Karic in a dangerous position for Cleveland.
Crunch hangs onto the ball. John Ball. And challenged by Santoro over to Otto Orff. At the 9-minute mark of the third quarter. 12-4 Cleveland. Shot was wide to the left. And Ball. Karic back to Otto Orff. Cleveland with a very deliberate attack, and there's the shot by Simic, and it travels over the top of the boards onto the stage. We have a timeout on the floor. Cleveland leads at 12-4. We will be back with more NPSL soccer from the Baltimore Arena right after this. 100-264-IWIF. Back to live action. Heilman for Baltimore. Sends it down the other end, but Cleveland takes control. Here they come. Last getting back on defense, though, Shane Doherty in the way. Barry Stitz as well. And there's your final score from Milwaukee, Bobby.
These two teams go at it again this week. Milwaukee 14, Philadelphia 13. They both return to Philadelphia now.
Remember, Milwaukee trailed by a half game going in today. Here's Kelly. That one deflected, and we got a whistle.
Free kick against Cleveland. Cleveland are left in the schedule with Montreal. Certainly could do the Blast a favor. Watch Kelly drive this ball in, and Simic bringing the ball under control with his arm.
Back to live action. Simmons centers it to Stitz. Now to Tariq Walker. And here come the crunch. Over to Karic. Karic, Danny Kelly hustling over. And Heilman will put it back in play. Here's Thomas. With Cleveland seemingly everywhere today. Clear shot at the goal. He comes all the way down the floor unchallenged. Goran Vasic. And he sticks it in the net past Heilman. And that's now 14-4, and they did not look good on that play, Bobby.
Well, Cleveland have been very good on the counter-attack and very quick. He draws Lance out and also Heilman and just slips it through Heilman's legs. Toughest area for a goalkeeper to guard. That is Vasic's 100th point this season. Stayed composed as he tucked it in to increase the lead to Cleveland Crunch 14, Baltimore Blast 4.
So a pair of 100-point scores for Cleveland. No secret as to why they came in today 24-13. Doug Neely. Denison Cabral being challenged over there. Cabral comes up with it. Still battling. And loses it, actually. Adam Cornett. Shane Doherty. Thomas tried to go over in the area of Doherty, but Cleveland steps in the way, and Otto Orff will put it back in play. Doug Neely with the header. Thomas trying to dig it out. Marinaro now in midfield. Big James Boney. He has the shot, whips that big left leg around, caroms off, and then Cornett tried one, and that wouldn't go either.
Denison Cabral making the sacrifice for a blast then to block that effort.
John Bell for Cleveland. Over to Orff. And Orff hitting the back by Chris Thomas right in front of the Blast bench, and we've got a whistle. I guess it's Thomas's way of saying, get back where you belong.
Well, I think it's Mark's way of saying, you know, when you come on out of your box, you're going to be considered a field player.
And the Blast will put it in play. 5 minutes, 35 seconds to play in the third quarter. 14-4. It's been all Cleveland thus far. Heilman to Doug Neely. Neely gives it up to Santoro on the right side. Here comes Danny with the centering pass. Tariq Walker was over there in the crunch. Otto Orff with a save. Blast had an opportunity there, couldn't get it done. So here come the crunch. John Ball to Marinaro, shadowed tightly there by Doug Neely. Walker disrupting things, keeping busy. Santoro, the Carrick controls, and Santoro hits the floor. Doug Neely.
Watch Santoro coming in, puts a little flick on, regains possession, and then is hauled down by Simic.
Here come the crunch. John Ball and Heilman out of the box, and Neely collides with Ball, and there's another blue card being held up. Neely doesn't like the call at all. Ball, of course, feels vindicated.
Well, watch Ball move forward here. And that was certainly not Doug Neely that hauled down Ball. It was a slight nudge from Heilman on the way past, and Neely is being called for a 2-minute penalty.
So Neely will go to the box for 2 more. And he stated his case. But the replay was rather plain, wasn't it, Bobby?
Oh, it certainly was.
So Heilman and
watch Ball go past Heilman, and then he just falls. That's a dive if ever I have seen one.
Well, Marinaro now will go one-on-one with Heilman. Heilman managed to get his hand on it, but not much else. And it's now 15-4 Cleveland.
No problem. Marinaro just tucks that away.
Well, when you're as great as Hector Marinaro, and you're the goalie, and you're looking at this situation, you got to feel like you're in trouble.
Well, Heilman comes out well. He's got his arms out to make the stop, but Marinaro is just so experienced with that situation.
Marinaro over to Karic. 200-point scores. Bosic now to Karic. There's a shot, and it's in the goal. Dusovsky for Cleveland. Troy Dusovsky got it on the right side and slipped it past Heilman, and the train's starting to pull out now. It's 16-4, 4:33 to play in the third quarter.
Watch Karic just lay it off. Dusovsky picking out the far corner. Good execution by Dusovsky. This is certainly going to cause a family feud in the Dusovsky family. His twin brother plays with Milwaukee, and there's an interesting situation brewing there in the Central Division.
Dusovsky been putting in some good work on defense tonight, but he was right there for that goal. Thomas and McIntosh down in that corner.
Well, the Blast just have to keep chipping away. The problem is now that they push up, they're trying to get scores on the board. And when you do that, you leave yourself open oftentimes at the back.
Kevin Haley watching his team perhaps on its way to its 5th straight defeat at the worst possible time. McIntosh over to Cabral. Cabral with the left foot. Thomas had a chance, but it hit the board and bounced away. Here come the crunch. Big James Boney, and we've got a whistle.
Well, this is going to go against the Blast.
So Cleveland with a free kick. Stepped in front of by Denison Cabral. Clears it ahead. Thomas trying to get over there. But Cleveland will control. (16-4). The score here at the Baltimore Arena. Boney tried to head it in. Heilman right there, read it the whole way, and came up with a save. Blast in the middle of a shift change. Marcano to McIntosh. Lance Johnson now for Baltimore. Johnson saw a hole in the middle of that defense and let it fly, or managed to get his fingertips on it.
Well, it's a good shot by Lance, and he also did well to get back on defense.
So Johnson to Tariq Walker. Walker now had a look at the goal, got the right foot around, but it was just inches too high, and it bounces away. There's a timeout on the floor. 16-4, Cleveland leading Baltimore. We'll be back with more NPSL soccer right after this. Installation needs, call Operators Energy Services today. Back at the Baltimore Arena, Bruce Cunningham, Bobby McEvan, 16-4, Cleveland leading Baltimore, NPSL soccer. 2 minutes, 30 seconds to play in the third quarter. It's been all Cleveland thus far. Otto Orff looking for Cornette down in the corner. Shane Doherty coming up to challenge. Orff will clear this one as well. Ball loose in front of the goal. Heilman picks it up. Simmons to Kelly. Kelly hits Marinaro with it. Marinaro comes back downfield, but John Ball can't get the foot on him. Kelly will put it back in play. Simmons down in the corner to Tariq Walker. Cabral from the top, and it's deflected into the crowd.
Well, here's an opportunity for the Blast to regroup here. at the top of the arc. McIntosh and Kelly getting their heads together.
Cabral, you see, fine season as well, 105 points. McIntosh sent it into Walker, but it was a bit high. Bounced off his upper chest, maybe his chin. Stitz gets tripped by the ball. Boning having Blast players bouncing off him. We've got a whistle. For Cleveland with a free kick at the Blast end. Zoran Karic over there. Karic played to Karam. John Ball couldn't get there. Karic to Marinaro. To Simic. Heilman with the save. Here comes Cabral.
One minute left in the quarter. 1 minute.
Karic tried one. Johnson right there in the way to deflect. At the 45-second mark now, third quarter. 16-4, Cleveland over the Blast. Zoran Karic, shadowed by Lance Johnson. Marinaro. Give it up to Orff. And Heilman will finally pull it down. Inside 10 seconds to play. 5 seconds, 4. And right before the end of the quarter, Cabral at least gave a shot at it, and that is the end of your third quarter. Cleveland Crunch leading the Baltimore Blast 16-4. We'll be back with a fourth and final quarter right after this.
In 19...
Watch as Marinaro gets control of this, knocks it into the box, and Scott Heilman coming out, just giving Simic a little love tap. Let him know not to enter that box.
Well, you know, he's faced 31 shots already in 3 quarters, and he's losing 16-4, and that could be just a little bit of frustration coming out as well.
Absolutely.
Scott Heilman, it's been a long afternoon for him here at the arena. Cleveland doing just about everything they want to do today against the Baltimore Blast.
And Cleveland will finish up their season against Scott's former team, the Florida Thundercats. And they're not looking to run into any problems against the guys from the South.
Well, the Blast added 2 real nice players from the Florida Thundercats. Along with Scott Heilman, they also pick up Mark Thomas. Tariq Walker, left foot. First goal of the second half, beats a diving Otto Orff, and that got a little charge out of this crowd.
Oh, what a rocket by Walker. Watch Marcano just lay the ball in then. Tariq battling for it against the boards, shrugs off Dusoski, and just rifles a shot into the upper corner.
Well, that now makes it 16-6. 100 points for Tariq Walker this season as well. So Tariq having a career year. Played in the All-Star game, scored the first 2 goals for his team. And now he tops the 100-point mark. So Heilman picks it up. And the Blast, maybe that can be a catalyst. Santoro with a shot. It's wide to the left. McIntosh followed. But it's high and goes onto the stage. Just underway in the fourth quarter. Bruce Cunningham, Bobby McAvan, NPSL Soccer.
Well, it's a good start for the Blast in the fourth quarter, so it's important they make a little progress here because they're faced with another huge game. Their next game will be against Montreal next Friday evening here at the arena.
Now then, Cleveland looking to take some of that momentum away. as we're in the fourth and final quarter. 16-6 your score.
Well, Cleveland are certainly the best team in the NPSL, and their form today is showing why. And they have the opportunity to spread opponents out and use the whole length and width of the field. And that area is tough to cover when you're 16-6 down.
A lot of Orff on the free kick. Heilman sees Orff out of the box. They're trying to hurry to get back down. Kelly won't be able to gather it in time. Santoro now. Deflected by Ball. Johnson comes back up with it. Here's Johnson. Hits the top of the glass and bounces out.
Well, the key to the fourth quarter now is simply to get the defenders coming forward like Johnson then. In case of throw caution to the wind. Just keep plugging away, get players forward to try and make things happen.
You see Cleveland coach Bruce Miller loving what he's seeing thus far. Ristic. Barrage with a running start. That thing hit the right side, caromed over to the left, and just caught the inside of the goal, and it's 2 more for Cleveland. It's now 18-6.
Well, that absolutely whistled by Scott Heilman. Carriage could not have hit that any better. Look at the run from 3-point land, right in at the post, into the top of the net.
So that's 3 for Carriage tonight, and that was a 3-pointer. That was from behind the arc.
Certainly the case.
So 19-6. As Cleveland answers the Baltimore goal, and then some. There's Zoran Karic, the veteran. 46 goals on the season, as you see on your screen. Action in front of the Cleveland goal. But Boney clears it. Here's Simic now. Over to Marinero. Doug Neely being disruptive. Here's Boney. And Boney sends that one out of the field of play. Big James or Sean Boney. 6'7", 265 pounds. That's a lot of soccer player right there, Bobby.
Absolutely is.
The official title.
Here's Marinero. Bounces it off the ankle of Heilman, and we got a whistle.
Well, we have a call against Barry Stitz on that occasion when Marinaro went down.
(19-6) your score. Action in front of the Baltimore goal, but Heilman scoops it up. Mark Thomas. Stitz now, and it'll bounce harmlessly to Orff. Here come the blast. Denison Cabral. Cabral looking for Mark Thomas. But Ristic got in the way for Cleveland. Here's Zoran Karic. And there's another goal for Cleveland. Karic with a real nice feed of Lester Felician.
Well, Karic can certainly punish any defensive errors there, and that errant ball from Cabral ends up in the back of the net for Cleveland.
Here's another look. You'll see just a basic feed. Felician right there. Sticks it in there. 21-6. Cleveland leading Baltimore. Same combination from the last goal. Felician got the assist the last goal, and then they returned the favor just then. 24 on the season for Lester Felician. So the blast trying to make something happen. Kelly out to Santoro. And Lance Johnson bounces it into the seats. 11 minutes, 41 seconds to play in this game. 21-6, Cleveland over Baltimore. As Otto Orff will put it in play. Lance Johnson hustling over there, got a head on it. He had Orff out of the box and tried to kind of loft it over him. Nothing doing. Orff collides with Walker. James just into the game. His shot is wide left. Santoro now. And we've got a whistle. Baltimore ball. Marcano for Tariq Walker. Walker turns, faces the goal. Flips it over there to Franklin McIntosh. McIntosh could not get away from the defender in time. Otto Orff clears it.
Not good distribution by Orff then. Given opportunity back to Baltimore.
Denison Cabral set it up in Orff's face, but he was able to make the save. And the Blast come up empty. (21-6) you score. And just look at Franklin McIntosh waiting for the free kick. McIntosh to Cabral. Cabral sticks it in the goal. Past the diving Osowski and Otto Orff and Denison Cabral.
Well, watch Tariq Walker move in and create distraction in front of the net, giving Cabral an opportunity to slide it past Orff.
See the bodies dive at the ball, and you see Cabral ultimately in triumph.
Cabral actually knocking it under Dusowski and Orff.
So that's 2 more for the Blast. 21-8 now you score. 10 minutes, 48 seconds to play. That one headed into the seats. And Heilman will put it in play. Cleveland defending that end. Here's Cabral to McIntosh. McIntosh gives it up to Stitz. They go into the corner for Cabral. Ball loose, and Orff picks it up. Sean Boney. And Cleveland with the free kick. They were looking to go to Boney, but it was too tall even for him. Goes over his head. McIntosh will try to control it off the boards. Gives it up to Kelly. Kelly right in front of the goal. Thomas felt like he was in good shape, but Otto Orff reached from behind him with that foot and cleared it out of there. Orff had come out too far. Thomas thought he might have had him trapped, but he kicks it up onto the stage. Timeout on the floor. 21-8 you score. We'll be back with more right after this from the Baltimore Arena.
What do Patrick Ewing, Grant Hill,
care on your team? Bruce Cunningham, Bobby McEvan back at the Baltimore Arena. You see Danny Kelly. And right there, the foot save from Otto Orff. Man's having a big game, Bobby.
Mark Thomas had intended a back pass to Danny Kelly on that occasion, but Orff making the leg save.
So there's Orff. Barrage picks it up at midfield. Hustles over and picks it up on the right side. Otto Orff for Simmett. He can't hang on to it. Santoro hustles back over there, but Simmett hangs on. And we've got a whistle. And they're pointing the Blast way. So Baltimore will get a free kick. Danny Santoro. 21-8 you score. 9 minutes, 31 seconds to play in the fourth quarter. Comes Franklin McIntosh now. McIntosh to Thomas. Cleveland with the defense. Here comes Carriage. Mystic. Wide and high. But Cleveland going to hang on. Bosic gets over there. And we got a whistle.
Obstruction called on Danny Kelly then. But no signs of Cleveland slowing up. This is a team that have played 3 in 3 nights.
Well, the Blast here, just in the last few minutes, came out of their seemingly game-long slumber. They put 2 quick goals up. But will it be enough? It's now 21-8. Marinaro gets it taken away by Lance Johnson. Grabs a little bit of Lance's shoulder. It's not called. McIntosh, but not going to make it happen. He hits the floor.
McIntosh hauled down by Cornette just outside the box. So here's an opportunity for the Blast to get their set plays in order. Very dangerous position.
See, McIntosh in real good shape right there, but Cornette reached up with that right hand. And McIntosh with the free kick from point-blank range. Kelly again. Kelly shot twice, and there's Cabral, and it's wide to the left. Kelly will control this one as well. Back over to Cabral. He's wide open. Cabral trying it. Wide left. Thomas intercepts. Here come the Blast. Gets by McIntosh. Cornette picks it up down low. McIntosh hangs on. Here's Kelly. That deflected as well.
Well, the Blast enjoying a good spell of pressure on the Cleveland defense here.
Now, Thomas brought down there by Troy Dusowski. And the Blast will get yet another free kick.
Mark Thomas's stats, 108 points on the season. It's been a wonderful acquisition from the Florida franchise.
A veteran player. There's McIntosh. Orff with a save. Thomas said, I asked him the biggest difference between leaving Florida and coming to Baltimore, and he said, you know, actual fans in the seats. Said it's a great thing. Florida, of course, struggling down there in that big new building.
It's sad to see. It's such a wonderful location, but fans just not getting behind the franchise.
A lot of ways for the fan dollar to be spent down in South Florida, that's for sure. So Cleveland with a free kick. Zoran Karic lining it up. There's Bruce Miller. 120 and 63 over 4 seasons. That's not too bad. Dusowski now for Cleveland. Orff. Kasic. Or Karic, I should say. Ball lets it get past him. Dusowski right over there. There's Tariq. Tariq pushed to the floor by Usowski. And Tariq Walker.
Well, Karic getting Dusowski out of the referee's face then.
There's Marcano with a kick. Looking for Santoro. Kind of handcuffed his feet, if you will. And Santoro not giving much of a chance there. The Blast by no means rolling over in this one. Doing their best to battle back.
Well, a lot of pride playing on the line here. Blast faced with their 5th defeat in a row. Not the finish that they would have hoped for, but all is not lost yet mathematically, Bruce.
Still 2 regular season games to go after this one for Baltimore. 5 teams make the playoffs. The Blast have pulled the goalkeeper. You see Billy Ronson on the field in that green vest. He replaces the goalie. You pull, just like in hockey, you pull the goalkeeper to get an extra man. Here's Kelly. Billy Ronson backpedaling. That one's going to go wide left. Clock continues to run. 6 minutes, 15 seconds to play. 21-8, Cleveland over Baltimore. Bruce Cunningham, Bobby McAvan bringing you NPSL soccer. Billy Ronson gives it up to Kelly. Kelly down for Thomas. Ball disrupts for Cleveland. Marinaro and Ronson. McIntosh hustling down, going to try to get between the ball and the goal, and he does just that.
Good backtracking by Franklin then.
Tariq Walker. Marinaro. Cabral got a foot on it momentarily. Simmons collides with Felician. And they're pointing Cleveland's way. Baltimore will get a free kick. Here's McIntosh. Ronnie Simmons back to McIntosh. Simmons collects it. Billy Ronson now. McIntosh to Simmons. Simmons with the right foot. Shoots it into traffic. And now it's a foot race. Nobody in goal for Baltimore. There's ball. McIntosh defending. Simmons back there. We've got a whistle. So the Blast with the free kick. That's a long run when there's nobody in goal, isn't it, Bob?
It certainly is, and Simmons did well to get back and chase down ball.
So the Blast, having pulled their goalkeeper, trying to make something happen here. Cabral with a shot, deflects off the Cleveland defender and hit him in the face. Cabral, there he goes, he's leaving the field. His own shot deflected off a Cleveland defender, came back and got him in the head. So Ronson becomes the goalkeeper as Cleveland lines up for the free kick. They go back to Marinaro. 4 minutes, 30 seconds to play. Stitz will clear. Now it'll be Ronson. Billy Ronson, 42 years old. Over to Stitz. Stitz in the middle to Santoro. And Ronson hustling back to get in goal. Ball and Stitz hooked up there on the board. Santoro comes over. Ball goes flying.
Well, ball.
And the two have words.
Little verbal altercation going on then.
Santoro, he's not the biggest guy in the world, 5'4", 145, but he's got a lot of heart as they escort him to the penalty box. I believe that's the third altercation between the two on the night, Bobby.
Well, Santoro doesn't back down from anybody, no matter what size.
4 minutes, 3 seconds to play. Here you see it again. Santoro comes in and trips him.
Oh, Ball certainly made the most of that, I feel.
Marinaro defeated.
Good stop by Heilman.
So Heilman was trying to defend the penalty kick, the shootout by Marinaro, and defeated him. You don't see that very often. Zoran Karic to Marinaro. Back to Karic. Otto Orff will clear. Dusovsky. Doug Neely. Marinaro to Karic. Marinaro sends it back to it. Over and back. Baltimore takes over. 21-8 you score. 3 minutes, 43 seconds to play in the fourth quarter. Kevin Healy wondering where it all went wrong. McIntosh. Marcano. Now Cabral. Bodies go flying, and there's a whistle. Blast. The call is on Cleveland. Blast will get the free kick.
Finally, Cleveland pay the price for protesting. There comes a time when a player just has to give it up and get back and join his defense, and on that occasion, Tusoski did not quit. The teams are going to play even strength here. Tusoski going to the bench for a 5-minute misconduct.
Well, the referee decided he'd heard just about enough.
Well, actually, Blastart short-handed for another minute 35.
Santoro serving the penalty. Heilman back in for Baltimore. McIntosh with the header. Scooped by Otto Orff. And Orff puts it back into play. Heckner Baranaro. Throwing carriage. Non-ball. Ball now on the right side. Had a look at it for a minute. And there's another goal. They go across the field and feed someone that's not on our roster, Bobby. No, Jeff Deist. A late addition.
Good vision by Ball there. Picked out the runner. Of course, a numbers up situation for Cleveland, and good finishing by Jeff Deist.
And there's Deist right there. A late addition to the roster. That's called announcer panic, when you look down at your roster and you don't see the number. Timeout on the field, 22-8 your score. We'll be back right after this with more NPSL soccer. You're looking at the Baltimore Arena, where the Baltimore Blast and Cleveland Crunch are hooked up in an NPSL indoor soccer matchup. 2 minutes, 57 seconds to go. It's been all Cleveland. 22-8 your score. Bruce Cunningham, Bobby McAvan bringing you the action. Santoro wide to the right. Shane Doherty in traffic. Southern in the game now for Baltimore.
Well, Mark Southern hasn't seen much action since very early in the season. Young man from Manchester, England.
Well, he's seeing action now as Kevin Healy clearing the bench a little bit.
Well, it's all experience for Mark along the way of his soccer career. Hope he has many years to come.
Scoops it up. We're at the 2-minute mark. 2 minutes to play. 22-8 Cleveland. Ronnie Simmons to Southern. Lance Johnson controls. And they go back to Heilman. Heilman, Stitz. Barry Stitz with the shot. Ronson with a follow. And Orff able to knock it away. Here's Ronnie Simmons now to Barry Stitz. They go back to Lance Johnson. Here's John Ball. A lot of traffic in front. Billy Ronson with a look, and he gets it in the goal. Otto Orff went down to the floor. Ronson got it on his feet. When you're 42 years old, you don't waste those kind of opportunities, Bobby. And the Blast get into double figures. It's now 22-10.
Mark Southern winning the ball in the corner. Very significant. Just lays it in front. Billy gets over to knock it in with his left foot.
So Billy Ronson.
Good play by Mark. Very composed under pressure.
Billy Ronson, a link to the glory days of this franchise. One of the old dogs. Takes you all the way back to when Bobby played. Saw the opportunity, made the most of it. We're at the 1-minute mark, 22-10. Cleveland going to win this one. Baltimore going to lose its 5th consecutive game. Not exactly the way you want to do a playoff run. So Cleveland now contends to let the clock go down, and we've got a whistle. 47 seconds as you look at Derek Marcano. Played his high school ball at Archbishop Curley here in Baltimore. Cleveland will win its 11th game out of the last 12. Had a 10-game winning streak snapped last night in Harrisburg. They're bouncing back strong today. Healy got a foot on it late. And look at that. Tariq Walker came in and followed. And he beats Orff with 14 seconds to go. And the blast puts another 2 on the board. It's now 22-12.
Tariq managing to notch up a couple more points. Watch Doherty just feed it in. It hits off Neely, off the glass, and Walker's there to pick up the carom. That is a hat trick for Tariq today.
Tariq Walker continuing his fine season. 14 seconds to play now. And the blast with a late gasp. Not going to be nearly enough. 3, 2, 1. And that's your game. Cleveland makes it 11 out of 12, handing Baltimore its 5th consecutive defeat. 22-12 is your final. Bobby and I will be back to wrap this one up right after this. Blast Soccer is brought to you by First Mariner Bank, by Mars Supermarkets, by Union Memorial Sports Medicine, by Operators Energy Services, by Subway, Ferris Baker Watts, Long and Foster Realtors, CTEL, Glenn Stoller, ABS Toshiba, Nextel, and the Injured Workers Insurance Fund. Back at the Baltimore Arena, Cleveland has just defeated Baltimore 22-12. A lot of superlatives for the Crunch today. Otto Orff in goal, certainly one of them. Let's take a look at the CTEL save of the game, Bobby.
Watch as McIntosh brings the ball around the big arc, just lays it in for Danny Kelly, who does everything right, goes back across the goalkeeper with his shot, and Orff just parries it away. Otto
Orff, not a bad play. Now here's your Nextel play of the game. We're going to go to veteran Zoran Karic for this one.
Zoran Karic also picking it up outside the big arc, moving in on Denison Cabral. A little fake by the Yugoslav. He turns, and fantastic execution into the bottom corner.
Zoran Karic with a big game as well. Again, your final 22-12. We'll be back to wrap this one up right after this.
Did you know there's a new technology?
Complete source, Baltimore, Washington, and Richmond.
Back at the Baltimore Arena, Cleveland defeating the Baltimore Blast 22-12. Baltimore's 5th consecutive loss for Cleveland. 11 wins the last 12 times out. Bobby, you said before the game, Hector Marinaro, your man to watch, and he sure lived up to that today.
Player of the game, Hector Marinaro, coming in on a shootout situation. 4 goals, 7 points. Subway player of the game, showing why he's so dangerous in and around the goal. 1 3-point goal, 1 2-point goal, and 2 1-point scores for Hector.
So Marinaro with 7 points as Cleveland defeats Baltimore at 22-12. For Bobby McAvan, I'm Bruce Cunningham, and on behalf of the entire HTS crew, thanks for watching. Goodbye, everybody.